Before I bring on my last guest, Daivd Closson, I want to remind you, he's got a book coming out next week, Life After Roe. Life After Roe. It faces the issue that we are dealing with now. And you can get a 40% discount, 40% off of that brand new book. The special code is Washington Watch, no spaces. Go to lifeway.com, lifeway.com. That's where you can order the book. Use Washington Watch as a promo code and get 40% off. That's awesome. All right, Daivd, thank you for joining us on Washington Watch. We got a lot to cover.
Happy Friday. Great to be with you, Jody.
Happy Friday to you as well. Unbelievable. All right. Things just, it's like an avalanche continuing to come down the pipe with so many issues to deal with. I mentioned your book coming out next week. Again, congratulations on that. Hope we have tons and tons of people who get that. But on the issue of abortion, I mean, earlier this week, Governor Glenn Youngkin of Virginia vetoed a bill that would have prevented prayer and sidewalk counseling in front of abortion clinics, this whole thing coming to pass. So tell us what this bill would have done and why he vetoed it. Let's go that route.
Yeah, Jody, this is Senate Bill 1324, and it passed incredibly in the Virginia House of Delegates and in their Senate on a party line vote. Democrats have a 2-seat majority in the Senate and the House, and they passed this bill that would have made it a misdemeanor that within a 40-foot radius of any so-called health care center that provides abortions, that you couldn't be within 8 feet from someone unless they invited you into their presence. And the bill specifically said you could not engage in oral protest or even counseling. And so, of course, it was patently unconstitutional. Governor Youngkin made this very clear in his veto of this legislation. But Jody, this is on the rise. This is kind of a new tactic of the left. We've actually seen this in the United Kingdom. They've passed a law in the United Kingdom that you can't even do silent prayer outside an abortion clinic within 150 meters. And if you're like me and you don't really know how far 150 meters is, that's about a football and a half. I had to look that up. And so the fact that that awful draconian suppression of free speech and religious liberty has kind of jumped the pond, and now state legislatures are looking at this. That's not good. So kudos to the governor for doing the right thing, but this is just another issue we're going to have to keep track of.
Yep, it sure is. So you see the trend moving in that direction. I know yesterday, David, we had a number of people from FRC Action and other organizations participated at the U.S. Capitol with a rally, and many members of Congress were lobbied, if you will, dealing specifically to cutting Medicaid abortion funding. What should Christians know about the event yesterday at the Capitol and the push ultimately to defund Planned Parenthood and abortion providers?
This is an incredibly exciting moment right now, Jody. For the first time since 2017, we have a real shot to defund big abortion, including Planned Parenthood. What's incredible, about the reconciliation, normally you need a supermajority, 60 votes in the Senate to get legislation moving. Well, within the rules of reconciliation, you can pass this, Jody, and it deals with funding. And so really for the first time since 2017, we have a legitimate shot. Planned Parenthood receives almost $700 million of taxpayer funding. This is an organization, by the way, that after Roe was overturned, raised $500 million, and they spent it mostly on their political messaging and posturing and paying outrageous salaries to their CEOs. Of course, they don't need any taxpayer money. And so this is a real moment. FRCs is leading the charge. And you can go to frcaction.org/takeaction to actually send a message to your representative or senator, because this is, these moments, Jody, only come around every 8 to 10 years where you have a legitimate shot to strip hundreds of millions of dollars from Planned Parenthood and other abortion industry. We need to take advantage of this, so let's pray, let's take action, let's contact our representative. This is a pivotal moment, and Lord willing, we'll take advantage of it.
It really is a pivotal moment. I'm so glad you brought that up. If we don't do it now, I don't know when we'll ever get around to it. David, so many issues to cover. So let's, if we can, let me switch gears on you real quickly. We were talking about Virginia. Let's now move over to Kentucky. There's some pretty big news coming out of Kentucky yesterday with a number of actions from the legislature dealing with abortion, transgender ideology, and so forth, DEI policy. Tell us what happened in Kentucky real quickly and why it matters.
Yeah, why it matters is because, again, these are issues of creation order, issues related to abortion, issues related to so-called gender-affirming care. And in Kentucky, the Republicans have supermajorities in the Senate and the House. They have a Democrat governor, Andy Beshear. By the way, if you're not familiar with that name, that's one that we're going to increasingly hear more about because he definitely has 2028 aspirations. He likes to show that he's kind of a moderate. He's not. And this is evidence of it. He put an executive order in place that banned so-called conversion therapy. And what this executive order meant, Jody, was that taxpayer dollars could actually fund these gender transition surgeries through Medicaid. And it had a kind of a chilling, silencing effect on counseling or talk therapy on matters of gender and sexuality. And so the legislature and folks like David Walls and the Family Foundation Kentucky were leading the charge on this, overrode the governor's veto. So now in Kentucky, this is the executive order that Beshear had put in place is now overturned. It's no longer binding. But this is important for Christians because, again, these are issues of the creation order. These are issues where the Bible is clear. And so kudos to those members in the legislature for doing the right thing.
Absolutely. One last question I want to get you. I'm sure you probably saw a Pew Research study that came out saying that people are leaving their childhood religion in masses. Tell us, again, why is this important? How can parents guard against this happening to their children?
Yeah, in brief, Jody, this is a major study. It looks at 36 different countries, and it shows that Christians in those 36 countries are one of the top religions that lose the next generation. And their kids go from Christian to being unaffiliated. We should be aware of this trend, and this should cause us as Christian parents to redouble our efforts of discipleship and catechism. You know, we know a worldview begins to form around 15 to 18 months. It's pretty much in place by age 13. And so let's use a study like this as a warning sign to make sure in our churches and in our homes we are discipling our children because the trends are disheartening, but let's take it by their horns, so to speak, in our families and churches.
Absolutely. David Closson, always great to have you. And again, your book, Life After Roe, is coming out next week. Tell us in 10 seconds where people can get it.
Wherever books are sold, you can go to lifeway.com and use that Washington Watch code to get your 40% off.
40% off, friends. Go do it. David, have a great weekend. Appreciate it.
God bless.